Here begins the 58th verse of chapter 28 of the book of Deuteronomy. If you are not careful to do all the words of this law which are written in this book, that you may fear this glorious and awesome name, the Lord your God, then the Lord will bring on you and your offspring extraordinary afflictions, afflictions severe and lasting, and sickness grievous and lasting. And he will bring upon you again all the diseases of Egypt, which you were afraid of, and they shall cling to you. Every sickness also, and every affliction, which is not recorded in the book of this law, the Lord will bring upon you, until you are destroyed. Whereas, were you as the stars of heaven for multitude, you shall be left few in number, because you did not obey the voice of the Lord your God. And as the Lord, and as the Lord took delight in doing you good, in multiplying you, so the Lord will take delight in bringing ruin upon you and destroying you. And you shall be plucked off the land which you are entering to take possession of. And the Lord will scatter you among all the peoples, from the one end of the earth to the other, and there you shall serve other gods of wood and stone, which neither you nor your fathers have known. And among these nations you shall find no ease, and there shall be no rest for the sole of your foot. But the Lord will give you there a trembling heart, and failing eyes, and anguished and a languishing soul. Your life shall hang in doubt before you. Night and day you shall be in dread, and have no assurance of your life. In the morning you shall say, would it were evening, and the evening you shall say, would it were morning. Would it were morning, because of the dread which your heart shall fear, and the sights which your eyes shall see, and the Lord will bring you back in ships to Egypt, a journey which I promised that you should never make again, and there you shall offer yourselves for sale to your enemies as male and female slaves, but no man will buy you. Here ends the first reading. By way of explanation, this is a very challenging passage indeed. Warnings against disobedience, this is the title of this paragraph. If you are not careful to do all the words of this law, which are written in this book, that you may fear this glorious and awesome name, the Lord your God, then the Lord will bring on you and your offspring extraordinary afflictions, afflictions severe and lasting. In history, nothing happens without a cause, and the present epidemic, global epidemic, caused by the coronavirus, raises questions in Christians. It's a call to reflect on our ways. Shall we regard it as God's punishment on our lifestyle or on unfaithfulness about the law? I wouldn't take up that line. because Jesus revealed that the Father is a loving Father. However, what this passage says to us is about the importance of responding to God's law in love. Because when we cling to His commandments, when we follow the rules and the teaching set before us by the prophets, Old Testament prophets, and Jesus our Redeemer, we are filled with life. And this is what I like to emphasize, we get focused on the issues of life. When we follow faithfully the Word of God, we are sensitized to the issues of life. And if we do it as a community and as a culture, as a praying community and a praying culture, we become sensitives to the values of life, and we become more cautious about how we live. And most importantly, we become more responsive to balance things if something goes wrong. So I would read these verses from Deuteronomy chapter 28, from verse 58 to the end, as a call to be aware of what life is. We are called to sensitize ourselves and to be perceptive of the reality which surrounds us. It's like carrying out a very subtle operation in the garden when we have to plant something very carefully and we pay attention to things. Not only the day when we plant a particular tree or plant, but days, even weeks after, we are following up what happens to life. So I think this passage is a powerful teaching about being vigilant and live expectation of life and living fine-tuned and open to God's life in us.